So what happens when you become too paralyzed in one view? Hemiphilia, or I'm gonna have to Wiktionary this word later. Anyways, so you don't want half of your face to be paralyzed, or half your perspective to be paralyzed, or half of your brain. I mean, like, there's a reason why we got, you know, two sides of the brain, and, you know, the whole creative side of the brain, you know, non-creative side of the brain is total nonsense. It's kind of like this strange pseudoscience, but basically the gist is one should be open-minded to all perspectives, from this side to that side and everything in between. And as you come up with your opinion, consider all sides of the debate, then take a long time to think about it, go on long walks, meditate, think. Not meditation like the Buddhist thing, but then the meditate, like, think deeply on it, and then come up with your own opinion. And also just kind of give yourself permission to know that your opinion is always in flux and it's always in changing. And that's part of the game. That's what makes knowledge, wisdom, you know, scholarship so interesting. The fact that everything's open to change. So why is it useful to be tolerant to other people's views and perspectives? It's because, for me, there is no ultimate right or wrong. There's no ultimate truth or falsity. Even thinking about truth is kind of not a good way to think, because thinking about there's no ultimate truth. And even, like, I mean, okay, insofar much as practical purposes, right? So the only things we should really trust is probably like hard math and hard science, physics. But beyond that, anything with sociology, politics, humans, philosophy, it's all subjective, right? And even when you talk about facts, right? So I think we tend to talk a lot about just like statistical facts now. But the problem about even talking about statistical facts is it doesn't really meaningfully reflect anything unless the human agent imbues his or her own value judgment upon the thing. So for example, let's talk about police brutality, right? So in America, I think about 60% of the population is Caucasian, 15% is African American, maybe like, I don't know, 5%, less than 5% is Asian American. And so they're doing this whole like thing on the, you know, police brutality, right? So I think so this is where things get tricky, right? So statistically, per head, per body, more Caucasian men are killed by police every year than African American men. Just pure numbers, right? So pure heads, like heads in a bucket, right? However, I believe proportionally, I actually might be wrong on this too, by the way, but last time I checked, I think proportionally African American men get killed more to compare the overall population size than Caucasian men. Now once again, I don't know if this is 100% true, but last time I checked, I think that's what it was. So then this is a tricky thing, is that whenever you read the news or the media or statistics, and then actually the best thing I learned about studying sociology in school was one should be highly sus of statistics, because statistics are numbers which could get gamed in any sort of way. And this is one thing I learned from Cindy. The basic notion of statistics actually comes from the state, you know, S-T-A-T-E, like, you know, state house. So what that means is statistics were invented by the state, you know, the government, to sort of like quantify the progress, or to propagate propaganda and get the citizens to think X, Y, and Z. Now, so there's no ultimate truth to statistics, and statistics will always be biased, because once again, you could game it however you want, right? So you know, it's kind of a mouthful for a news headline to say, statistically speaking, per capita, proportional to the US population, African Americans are killed more by police than Caucasian men. And then it's just easier to say, you know, whatever short headline you want to put in. And the problem is, most news reporters, they're either not intelligent enough or they don't have enough time or constraints, whatever, is that most news reporters and news media, they're not going to want to add the nuance to the argument, because once you add the nuance, it becomes less juicy and it also becomes less sensational. And the more sensational things are, the more clicks you get, the more ad revenue you accumulate, the more page views you get. And so once again, this becomes like kind of a bad system, because it prioritizes maximizing page views and ad revenue and clicks and CPMs, whatever, rather than, you know, trying to approach a more truthful approach. Now, and also the problem too is that, you know, I think there's actually a big class issue in America. I mean, there always has, but I'm starting to realize this more and more. But people tend to think if you voted for Trump, you're some sort of like backwards, hillbilly, backwater individual who's stupid and doesn't know what's best for him or herself. Now, this is the thing, is like, if you truly want to be tolerant, if someone decided to vote for Trump, you know, I don't like it and I don't agree with it. I personally didn't vote for him. I voted Hillary. And I initially voted Bernie, right? But, you know, that's just my personal belief, right? And then if other people vote contrary to what I believe in, you know, I should be tolerant and open-minded to them too. And so even like, you know, I try not to meddle in politics too much, because it's kind of a strange game. But so I'll ask people who are like Trump supporters or whatever, I'm like, yo, like, what is it that other people don't get about Trump? Or what are common misconceptions about it? Or why did you vote for Trump? And then you're kind of trying to say in a tone which is not so combative. You're just like, you just say it just like straight up, just be like, oh, I'm just kind of curious, right? And then people sometimes they get sus because no one ever asked them why, right? So it's like, why you want to know? I'm just curious. You don't have to say much, right? I'm just curious, right? And so for me, I guess my personal joy is gaining a deeper understanding of society, the world, how people think. I mean, certainly studying sociology was hugely beneficial to me in terms of just, you know, changing and augmenting my thinking, to be a little bit more critical, to be a little bit more suspicious. I mean, probably the best way to become more intelligent is actually to become more suspicious of everyone, right? So for example, don't trust the New York Times, don't trust the New Yorker, don't trust any media. Don't trust nobody but yourself. Just consult your own opinion. And I've actually found that the most useful thing too is go to the source, right? So, you know, if you're curious about what happened to George Floyd, right? Google George Floyd coroner report PDF, right? And then read the actual PDF documents and stuff like that. And also just kind of, we kind of need time too, because there's so much noise and there's always going to be new sources of information being leaked that we previously were blind to. And the thing is, you cannot see what you're blind to, or you cannot see what you cannot see. So for example, you know, when the whole George Floyd thing happened, you know, there's constantly new news being leaked about stuff, and then the story always changes, right? Because like for example, apparently Derek Chauvin and Floyd both worked at the same nightclub as bouncers. So once again, this is a problem. We cannot know for certain anything. Like, do they know each other? Do they have a personal spat? Do they not? And, you know, nobody knows. Derek Chauvin might know, but even he might be lying, or he might not know. I mean, who knows? So skepticism is good.